The topic of this recorded lecture is MLA in text citation. We will be focusing on magazine and newspaper web articles. If you have not done so already, you will need to download the MLA in text citation magazine and newspaper web articles prep packet from our D2L content page. You'll need to complete that prep packet while you watch this video, and you'll also need to submit that completed prep packet in our next class to earn credit for having watched the lecture. Please pause the video to do that now. Before we begin discussing in-text citation, we have to understand what summarizing and paraphrasing are. Summarizing means you're boiling down information from the source to the most important points. Students can summarize when the information from the source can easily be condensed or boiled down. After you summarize, you must include the proper in-text citation to give the author credit for his or her ideas. If you'll look at number 1 and 2 of your prep packet, you can use this slide to answer number 1 and 2. You can pause the video to do that now. Paraphrasing means you're restating the author's words in your own words. Students can paraphrase when the author's words can easily be restated. After you paraphrase, make certain you include the proper in-text citation. You can look at number 3 and 4 of your prep packet. This slide answers number 3 and 4. Please pause the video to do that now. A word of caution about summarizing and paraphrasing. You should never summarize or paraphrase information you don't understand. If you need to, look up the words you don't understand with a dictionary. Your summary and paraphrasing should always be coherent or easy to understand, and it should remain true to the original text. Before we move on to looking for sources, we need to have a narrow topic. Our topic is Cure for HIV, but that's too broad. So our main points to help narrow that topic are: we need to control the spread of HIV. Millions of people still die of AIDS, even though HIV medicine exists, and many babies have HIV. Of course, if your essay is long, you'll need to have more than 3 main points. So after I did internet searches using my 3 main points, I came up with these 3 different sources. My first one is from theeconomist.com. At the top of the screen, we have our web address, and notice there's no mention of the word opinion. If you look down, you'll see in the red box toward the center, The Economist, which is the name of the magazine website. Further down, you'll see Looking into the Future. That's the article title. And then below that, you'll see July 28, 2012, Washington, D.C. There's no author for this article, but the date is current. And this is a respected magazine, so I can use this as a source. After I read the article, I notice that these 3 sentences may be helpful for my essay. The original sentence reads, "Can AIDS be cured?" That was the question being whispered in the back rooms and satellite meetings of the 19th International AIDS Conference. Well, I'm not clear on what satellite meetings are, so I had to look that up. Satellite meetings are when people participate over the phone or over video. So the people at this conference were physically there, and some of them called in or videoed in. And then I read on and I see the conference was held in Washington, D.C., and that the conference's formal business was to keep up the momentum or force behind the most successful public health campaign or movement in the past 30 years. So they were trying to keep the force up in this movement focusing on HIV. And then I read on and it says the taming or the controlling at the cost of a few pills a day of an infection that was once an inevitable killer. Inevitable means certain. So based on that, after I've looked up all of my words and I understand what I've read, I came up with this summary. And I used in-text citation with parentheses. At the 19th International AIDS Conference, participants discussed ways to control the spread of AIDS, looking into the future. So I boiled down what was almost a paragraph of information to 1 sentence. If you'll look at number 5 and 6 of your prep packet, this slide can be used to answer question number 5 and 6. Please pause the video to do that now. Now let's look at our next source. At the very top, we see the web address, which is articles.washingtonpost.com. There's no mention of opinion in the articles. So, or I'm sorry, in the web address. So I'm probably going to be able to use this. I look down and I see the Washington Post, and that's the newspaper website name. Next to the newspaper website name, I see politics, opinions, local sports. All of those are web links that you could click on if you were at this actual web page and go to the politics section and the opinion section where you would find things written related to politics and opinion. But this particular page that we are on is not related to opinion, so I can probably use this. I look further down and I see removing the stigma of HIV testing. That's the title of the article. And below that, I see by Clinton Yates, January 11, 2013. So I have the author's name, which is good, and I have a current article publication date. Whenever you're using a source from the internet, it shouldn't be older than 2 years. So this is a good source for me. And the Washington Post is a fairly respected newspaper. So after I read the article, I came up with this sentence, which might be useful for my essay. The original sentence reads, "At the Infectious Disease Center of Excellence." Okay, so that's a center, some kind of medical center, but I'm not clear on what infectious means. So I looked that word up and I see they're talking about something that's able to spread, specifically diseases that are able to spread. So this center focuses on diseases. And then they say it's housed in the United Health Center. Well, housed means located. So this center is located in the United Health Center on Southern Avenue. And Lisa Fitzpatrick and her team provide more than just testing. They are leading a campaign, a movement, to remove the stigma or negative opinion associated with HIV testing and being HIV positive. So after reading all of that, because that was still quite a bit of information, I came up with this summary, and I used in-text citation in parentheses. One health center offers HIV tests, and it is trying to change people's opinions about HIV testing and HIV in general. Yates. So there I summarized a lot of information into one short sentence. Now if you'll look at number 7 and 8 of your prep packet, you can use this slide to answer number 7 and 8. Pause the video to do that now. Now our final source comes from NewYorkTimes.com. At the very top of the page, we have our web address. And again, there's no mention of opinion in the web address. If you look down, under homepage and today's paper, you have the New York Times, which is the newspaper website name. Further down, we have the title, "In Medical First, a baby with HIV is deemed cured." And below that, we have by Andrew Pollack and Donald G. McNeil Jr. Those are our authors. And this article was published on March 3rd, 2013. So we have the author's names and the article is current. So we can use this because everything's current, it's not an opinion, and the New York Times is a fairly reputable newspaper. So from reading that article, I came up with this sentence, which may be useful for my essay. The United Nations estimates or guesses that 330,000 babies were newly infected in 2011, the most recent year for which there is data or research, and that more than 3 million children globally are living with HIV. Based on that, I think, well, I only had to look up 2 words. I can put that in my own words. And I paraphrase this information using in-text citation in parentheses. And here's what I wrote. Based on the United Nations' research, approximately 330,000 babies were infected with HIV in 2011, and more than 3 million children in the world have HIV. Pollack and McNeil, those are our authors. So notice that I put things in my own words, but I did not change the numbers at all. 330,000 babies is in the original quote and in my paraphrasing. And the only difference between 3 million children is that in the original sentence, they used letters, 3 million, and I used numbers for 3 million. So you never want to change the numbers when you're using a paraphrasing or summary from an original text. Now, if you'll look at number 9 and 10 of your prep packet, you can use this slide to answer number 9 and 10. Make certain that you include everything that I have circled and labeled when you answer those 2. You can pause the video to do that now. Now let's look at in-text citation more closely. For number 1, at the 19th International AIDS Conference, participants discussed ways to control the spread of AIDS, looking into the future. I used in-text citation in parentheses. Because I did not have an author, I had to use open parentheses, open quotes, looking into the future, close quotes, close parentheses, period. So when you don't have an author for an article, you have to use the article title. Make certain you write the article title exactly as it was written on the internet or on the article itself. Now if you'll look at number 11 of your prep packet, you can use number 1 of this slide to answer number 11 of your prep packet. Make certain you box everything I box and label everything I label. You can pause the video to do that now. Next, we have number 2. One health center offers HIV tests, and it is trying to change people's opinions about HIV testing and HIV in general. Yates. This one was written by this article was written by one author, and so I have to put the author's last name in the in-text citation within parentheses. So always use the author's last name when you're using in-text citation with parentheses. If you'll look at number 12 of your prep packet, you can use number 2 of this slide to answer number 12. You can pause the video to do that now. Next, we have number 3. Based on United Nations research, approximately 330,000 babies were infected with HIV in 2011, and more than 3 million children in the world have HIV. Pollock and McNeil. Pollock and McNeil are our 2 authors. So I include them in parentheses, only their last names. And I put them at the end of the sentence with the period after the in-text citation and parentheses. If you'll look at number 13 of your prep packet, you can use number 3 on this slide to answer number 13 of your prep packet. You can pause the video to do that now. Now let's look at in-text citation within the actual sentence that you've written. For number 1, looking into the future states that at the 19th International AIDS Conference, participants discussed ways to control the spread of AIDS. Because we don't have an author for this article, we use in-text citation in the form of the title of the article, and we put the title of the article in quotes. But we're still not done. We also have to introduce information that we're using from the article, and I did that by writing the words states that. Those are my introductory words. So looking into the future states that, and then I put the information from the article. If you'll look at number 14 of your prep packet, you can use number 1 on this slide to answer number 14. You can pause the video to do that now. For number 2 here on the slide, according to Clinton Yates, one health center offers HIV tests, and it is trying to change people's opinions about HIV testing and HIV in general. My in-text citation within the sentence is the author's full name. Clinton Yates. He's the one who wrote the article. But I also have to let the reader know that I'm about to give information taken from Clinton Yates. So I use an introductory phrase, according to. If you'll look at number 15 of your prep packet, you can use number 2 on this slide to answer number 15. Make certain you circle and box and label everything that I have circled, boxed, and labeled in your answer. You can pause the video to do that now. Finally, number 3, based on United Nations' research, Andrew Pollock and Donald G. McNeil Jr. assert that approximately 330,000 babies were infected with HIV in 2011, and more than 3 million children in the world have HIV. My in-text citation comes in the form of the author's full names. I have to write out the author's complete names when I'm writing the citation within the sentence. And then, to let the reader know that I'm about to introduce information from their article, I use the term asserts that. Assert that, or asserts, means argues. Assert means argue. And so assert that means the introductory phrase of the information I'm about to give, that Pollock and McNeil gathered in their article. Please keep in mind that when you use in-text citation within the sentence and you write the author's full name, you don't have to repeat the author's name once you've written the author's full name. So in this case, we introduce Pollock and McNeil with their full names. Afterwards, if you want to paraphrase or use a direct quote from Pollock and McNeil, you can just write Pollock and McNeil state that, or according to Pollock and McNeil, after you've already written their full names once. Now, if you'll look at number 16 of your prep packet, you can use number 3 of this slide to answer number 16. You can pause your video to do that now. That concludes our video on MLA in-text citation, magazine, and newspaper web articles. If you need to, please replay this video to make certain that all of your answers on your prep packet reflect the answers on the slides. Thank you.